Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Cheryl. Thank you very much for joining me. If you're a new viewer, hello, welcome. And if you're a returning viewer, welcome back. This is one of a few wrap-up videos I'm going to be doing, and I have learned how to edit. I know, amazing. So I'm casually trying to figure out how to do some editing. So I learned how to do a few things, so you will see that I'll be putting the picture of the books I want to talk about up there. So, oh, I'm sorry. So this video is about the first quarter of my reading year. So this is the year 2022, and I want to talk about the books I read between January and March, the end of March. So I'm not going to talk about all of the 17 books I read, but I do want to talk about a few of them. So I'm going to talk about probably 7 or 8 of them, I think. So let's get started. Now this list is not in any particular order, but they were all 4 or 5 stars, and they've all stuck with me. So the first book I want to talk about is The Woman with the Blue Star. This is by Pam Jenoff. I read 2 books from Pam Jenoff in the first 3 months of the year. The other book being, oh my nose, allergies are bad, I tell ya. The other book being The Orphans Tale. I enjoyed both books very much, but I'm going to talk about The Woman with the Blue Star first. So this book was about, if you know Pam Jenoff, you know that she writes about World War II. It's a historical fiction, adult. It is very tear-jerking, very beautiful. Sorry, my allergies are so bad, I tell you. I was out in the garden doing some gardening, and now I'm just like, no, my nose just isn't taking it. Anyways, so The Woman with the Blue Star is about a girl, and she is Jewish, and she's with her family. She's young, she's in her teen years, and she lives in Germany, I believe, and the Germans take down the Jewish housing, and they flee, and most of the Jewish people get killed for no reason. It is sad, it is horrific, and her family goes to hide beneath the sewers, so in the sewers. And that's where they live for, I think, a year or 2. And there's another girl up above the sewers in War World, and she's young, the same age as the other girl. I forget their names, I'm so sorry. And she comes and finds and looks down the sewer, down the drain pipe, and sees this girl. And they become friends through the sewer, through the drain pipe. And she brings food for her. She risks her life a lot of times to help the girl in the sewer and her family. It is a beautiful story of friendship. It's got romance in it. It's got family drama. It's got the horrific things that happened in the war. And I think the hard part is knowing that Pam Jenoff wrote this book based on real stories of people who did live in the sewers during this time. And it's a horrific story. The description of the smells of the stench in the sewers was just, it made me sick, and it was just so good. I mean, not good, but it was so well described. It literally made me sick. And beautiful book. I cried at the end. The twist at the end got me. It was so good. The other book by Pam Jenoff that I read was The Orphans Tale. This is a book about, again, in the war. And I can't remember character names. I can never remember character names. But this woman, this girl, has a baby out of wedlock. Her parents disown her, basically. So she's been kicked out. She's trying to find a place to live. She's at a bus station or something. I think it was a bus station or a subway or something. And she sees a truckload of Jewish babies being taken to a concentration camp, or to be killed, basically. Not a concentration camp, but somewhere to be killed. And so she decides, she looks into the truck, and let me warn you, the description of the babies in the truck they're all newborn babies, and it's just so hard. A lot of them are dead, and it's very hard to read. So if you aren't in the right mindset and can't handle that kind of thing at this time, then I would recommend not reading this book. But she does see one baby that's alive, and she takes him, and I remember she named him Theo. And they run away, and she finds herself cold, and someone rescues her and brings her to this place, and it's this guy that owns a circus, and in this circus he hides Jews. So he took her on and told the people that she is a new trapeze artist. And she is saying that the baby is her brother because she doesn't want anybody to know it's a Jewish baby. She doesn't know that he hides Jewish people. But we find out Astrid, who for some reason I remember her name, she is a trapeze artist in the circus. And we find out soon that she is a Jewish person as well. That might be a spoiler. I'm sorry. Anyways, I think that's pretty well near the beginning, so I don't think that's a spoiler, but sorry. So this whole book is about them traveling in the circus and trying not to be caught as Jewish people. And it's about Astrid and the girl, I forget her name, but their relationship, their friendship. Astrid has to teach her everything about trapeze artistry, and it's just beautiful. The connection between the two of them is just a beautiful friendship. A love almost like a mother-daughter love. And there's romance, there's tragedy, there's, again, the horrific things that happened in the war. So it is just a beautiful book. And it's based on real circus that did hide Jews from the government back in the war days in World War II. So it's based on real people, and it's just a beautiful story. So that one is The Orphan's Tale. Another book, so that's two books that I read that I absolutely loved by the same author. Another one that I read two books from was The Dead Man in the Garden and The Body Under the Piano by Marthe Jocelyn. These two are middle grade, totally different than the Pam Jenoff books. These two were middle grade mysteries, and these were so much fun. There are 3 books in this series so far. I read the first one last year, though, so these two I read this year. And, I haven't read the second book. The second book, it wasn't the third book, it was the second book. I read them out of order. The second book I haven't finished yet. I started, I had to bring it back to the library, so I never finished. And that one's called, Murder at Owl Peril, or something like that. Peril at Owl Park, that's what it's called. Anyways, I read The Body Under the Piano, which is the first book, and I also read Dead Men in the Garden, which is the third book. These are 2 middle grade mysteries. They're fictional stories of a real person. So the real person is Agatha Christie, Queen of Mystery Writer. Queen of Mysteries. She was a writer. I'm sure you know who Agatha Christie is. And this is Aggie Morton Mystery Queen is what the series is called. I didn't mention that. So it's basically Agatha Christie as a child. So it's really cool. She's solving murder mysteries. Now it is a middle grade. It does deal with murder, but it's not gruesome, so it's okay. I'm fine with kids reading it. It's really good. It has different things put into the book where you can see how Agatha Christie's books were created from them. So, for instance, her best friend is a Belgian boy named Hector Perrault. And, of course, Hercule Poirot was named after him. Her grandmother's name is Jane, and that, of course, is Jane Marple. And it's based on real places that Agatha Christie went. And it's a wonderful story. It's funny. It's sweet. It's a bit of a mystery. Now, these books, I do figure out who the killer is pretty well into the book. I mean, pretty close to the beginning is what I mean. But it's still a fun book. If you're a kid and you're reading it, you may not get it right away, but as an adult, I kind of figured it out pretty soon. But it was a good book, and they were good, and I gave them both 5 stars, and I really enjoyed them. Next, we have A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. I did enjoy this book. It was, oh, my nose is so itchy. So, A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab is the first book in the Shade of Magic series. I didn't think I would like this, but I did read Addie LaRue, The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue last year. It was my favorite book of the year, and I thought, well, hey, I'll try another book by her. And I absolutely loved it. It surprised me. This book is about a man, and again, I forget his name, but he can time travel between, in this world, there are 3 Londons. 4 Londons? There's the grey London, the white London, the red London, and the black London. And he can travel between 3 of those. The black London doesn't exist anymore, I think, or something like that. I don't remember. But he can travel in between the Londons. And he is... it's kind of hard to explain, but it was so good. The way V. Schwab writes is just beautiful. It's about how he got caught bringing something back from one London into another, which you're not allowed to do. It has another character who is a pickpocket, and she becomes friends with him, and it's all about... you know what? I honestly don't remember exactly what happens in the book. I just remember I loved reading it. Absolutely loved it. I'm going to have to reread it before I go on to the next book, but it was really good. I enjoyed it. If you like V. Schwab and you like time travel, adventure, fantasy, it's wonderful. It's a great book. I have heard that it gets darker in the next 2 books in the trilogy, so just a warning of that. I don't know if it does, but I've heard by a librarian that it does get darker, so just so you know. There is a lot of death in the books, so just a warning of that. Next, we have These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. Chloe Gong. Sorry, couldn't say it right. So, Chloe Gong wrote this book as a Romeo and Juliet retelling. Now, this book is basically Romeo and Juliet in the 1920s in Shanghai. And they have 2 gangs. They have the White Flowers and the Scarlets. And each of those gangs has a teenage heir. And that heir for the White Scarlets is Roma. And for the White Flowers is Roma, and the Scarlets is Juliet. And Juliet is Shanghai. No, she's Chinese, I think. And Roma is Russian, I believe. And they kind of their gangs control Shanghai. During this time, they are enemies. You find out soon that they used to be lovers, but they became enemies. The gangs are in a blood feud, so there's lots of killing going on. And soon there's a lot of people ripping their own throats out. So this part is kind of disgusting, because when they describe that people are just literally clawing at their own throats and killing themselves, and it's kind of disgusting. So just a warning for that. And they find out that there's a monster going around killing people. So, a bit of a fantastical thing going on. So, Roma and Juliet get together to try and find out who's killing everybody, because they're trying to save everybody instead of working the blood feud, because each of them knows something, so they get together to talk it out. And there's a romance between them, and it's a wonderful book. The writing is amazing. This is Chloe Gong's debut book, and it does not read like a debut. It is really well done. The second book is called Our Violent Ends. I was going to read that last month. I never did. I wasn't able to finish it. I did start it, but I just couldn't read it that month. So I will be reading it soon, though, and it was... Anyways, this series is so good. I'm looking forward to Our Violent Ends. It's a duology, and if you want a bit of the monster that is attacking everybody is man-made, so it's not like a creature kind of thing. So it is a wonderful book. There's a lot of gruesome parts in it, but it's written so beautifully that it's almost beautiful when you read the gross parts. And I know it sounds funny, but while I was reading, it's like, oh wow, there's blood, spurting out everywhere. But the way she writes it is so good, and I just really enjoyed it. So if you like that, then that is These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong, which is a popular book on BookTube. Okay, next we have Finlay Donovan is Killing It. That book is another BookTube darling. That is by, I have the second book up here, and I forget who it's by. There it is. No, that's not it. Hang on, I forget who it's by. It's by Elle Cosimano, and I love this book. I listened to an audio. The narrator is wonderful. She makes the kids' voices sound great. It was an awesome book. This book is about a lady who is down in her luck. She's an author. She has a book that she needs to get done, but she's kind of low on money, and she has 3 kids, and 2 or 3 kids. 2 kids, I think. And her ex-husband ran off with the real estate agent, and they are together, and he's treating her like crap, and it's just, she's really low on money. So she goes to a restaurant to meet with her agent to talk over her next book deal. And while she's talking, she talks about synopsis of the book. Now, she writes romance thrillers, and someone overhears her and thinks she's a hit woman, so they hire her to kill their husband. And so they say they'll give her $50,000, and she, is kind of tempted because she kind of needs the money. The heat is going off, like the electricity isn't working, and she kind of needs the money. So she looks into who this guy is that they want her to kill. And it's hilarious from then on. She gets herself in trouble, and the way she tries to get out of it and find out what's going on and why this guy died. And it's a wonderful mystery story with a bit of a twist. Her friend, the babysitter, is in it as well and helping her. And it's a wonderful book. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. And I do have up there, Finlay Donovan is Knocks Them Dead, which is the second book, and I'm going to read that soon. So that is my favorite books of the first quarter of, of 2022. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up, and oh my goodness, I'm so tired, I'm sorry. I'm trying not to sneeze is what I'm doing when I do this. I'm just like, my nose is so itchy. I hope you enjoyed this video. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and have a great day. God bless you and all you do. Bye, guys.